Good evening. Welcome to the Independent Media Center. My name is Miriam Larson. I'm the Executive Director here, and I'm so excited to have you all this evening for our speakers showcase called Voices of Freedom. I've had the privilege of watching this team work together for the past couple of months and do the hard work of finding and telling their truths. You're in for a special evening. Thank you for being here, to all of you here in the audience and also those of you online. Thanks for joining us. I want to thank Illinois Humanities, who's supporting this project with a grant through their Envisioning Justice Fund. I want to thank Krushan Stubbs for his vision and hard work that made this possible. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our host this evening, Cardell Sims, who's come all the way from St. Louis to join us. I'll tell you a little bit about him. Cardell is a passionate advocate dedicated to helping formerly incarcerated individuals rebuild their lives. Despite facing tremendous adversity in his youth, he has overcome his past to become a leader in the reentry space. Growing up in poverty with strong influences of drugs and gangs, Cardell first became involved with the justice system at 15. After release, Cardell put his plan for personal change into action. He beat the odds by transforming himself through education, self-improvement, and service. Today, he is the founder of On the Inside Reentry Academy and uses his journey to inspire those facing similar challenges. He coaches, he's a 9-time author, he's a reentry consultant, and dedicated to guiding others towards self-empowerment. He shares his story of overcoming poverty, addiction, gang influences, and recidivism. His aim is to spark inspiration and provide the tools for creating lasting change. Please welcome Mr. Cardell Sims.
Freedom, voices of freedom. But what is freedom? See, when I think about freedom, I think about from the plantation to incarceration. Freedom is what we're talking about. Voices of freedom. See, we have people, leaders, Harriet Tubman. We have leaders for freedom. Nat Turner. We have leaders for freedom. Frederick Douglass. We have leaders for freedom. Dred Scott. What is freedom? As I said before, when I think of freedom, I think from the plantation to incarceration. Those were our voices of freedom during slavery. But after slavery, we was given freedom, but who knew we had to fight another freedom and fight for another freedom. And so another 100 years go by where we had Jim Crow, and we had to fight for freedom. And a new set of voices come through. Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, and mass incarceration comes into play. And we're fighting for another freedom. But the true freedom, to become the voice or voices of freedom, you must free yourself from self-hate. You must free yourself from the lack of self-love. You must free yourself in order to be a voice of freedom. You must free yourself first in order to be a leader, to walk, to be a voice of freedom. Freedom, what freedom means to me, it means freeing myself from poverty, freeing myself from gangs, freeing myself from criminal activity, freeing myself from prison 5 times to be able to run prisons, run programs inside of correctional institutions across the country. But in order for me to even do that, I had to free myself from that to become a voice of freedom. Tonight, we are going to be hearing voices of freedom. The triumph. This is what it's all about. Understanding the struggle, the pain, the history. Dealing with the struggle, the pain, the history. And giving solutions and answers and hope to overcome the struggles, the pain, and the history. And it all starts with the voice. This is Voices of Freedom. I'd like to welcome you all to the Voices of Freedom Speaker Showcase. Tonight, you are going to be hearing powerful, moving stories of formerly incarcerated individuals who have successfully adopted and thrived through remarkable journeys to move from tragedy to triumph. So without further ado, I'd like to bring our first speaker to the stage. It's a true Renaissance man. He's nervous because I was backstage talking to him. Since I've been here, I've been talking to him. He's been all over the place. He's nervous. I told him, you think you're nervous now? You're going to be nervous when you get finished. You're still going to be nervous. You're going to have the same feeling. But he's a true Renaissance man, a skilled artist, devoted husband, and loving father. He infuses his passion for realism into vibrant paintings, soulful portraits, and captivating murals. His art, inspired by everyday life and his travels, has earned him recognition, including an honorable mention from WCIA News for hosting an independent art gallery event. He uses his talent to support noble causes, participating in fundraisers like 40 North, Artists Against AIDS, and independent breast cancer awareness campaigns. Currently, as a commissioned vendor for University of Illinois art exhibitions, he shares his work with a wider audience. Harvester also runs his own LLC for handyman services, showcasing his diverse skill set and entrepreneurial spirit. His ultimate goal? To make positive impact on his community and beyond, using his art, strong work ethic, and inspiring story to uplift others and achieve success in the business venture. I'd like to bring welcome to the stage no other than Mr. Harvester Baker.
How y'all doing tonight?
How you doing?
Microphone check.
All right.
You okay?
That's good.
I'm originally from Chicago.
All right.
South Side.
That's right.
Low end, for those that know what that is. Yeah. I grew up in the Dearborn Projects, where the elevators was always broke. The hallways always smelled like piss. And there was always a million people in front of the buildings, day or night, no matter what time it was. And sometimes in those hallways. But it was home. And as kids, we had fun growing up, playing football in the snow, basketball, summertime, sprinklers, the talent shows, show off your breakdance skills, sing, rap, whatever your talent was. And it was our way to tune out the dangers, the community, way of tuning out the dangers that these projects was known for. You know, shooting, gangs, drugs, murders. I'm about 10 at this time, and I lost my father on Christmas to suicide. Killed himself. He took a shortcut. And this would be my beginning of attractions to shortcuts as well. You think a shortcut, you say shortcut. Yeah, a shortcut. A shortcut is when you take something long, something difficult, something uncomfortable, or something irritating. You just cut it shorter. If I get my car, I just want to get to where I'm going. I don't want to wait. How about you?
No. Right?
Right. For instance, I do work at times for State Farm Center. And when I leave out from my house, if I go out to the right, it's 9 minutes. If I leave out going to the left, it's only 6 minutes. So of course, which way would you go? To the left, right?
Yeah.
Right. It just feels better, right? It feels satisfying. It feels like you're in control, especially your time. Right. But as a kid, I didn't know how to deal with the pain of losing my father, nor of all the negativity that was all around me in the projects. So I started taking shortcuts. I took a shortcut at 13. I'm growing up. My mama wasn't feeling that. I'm out. I had to be my own father anyway, right? Now I can do whatever I wanted to do, stay out all night, hang out with my thugs, make me some money. And I was a good student at that time, but none of that even mattered. Because at 14, I was holding a gun for the first time. A few twists and turns later, I'm taking shortcuts to make fast cash. I did a kick though at a steel mill, stole the whole book of payroll checks.
Whoa.
Cast them all over Chicago, right? I'm selling drugs. I'm in and out of jail. Everything became fast-paced. Everything was a split decision. I became more and more impatient. If it didn't happen right then and there or that day, man, forget about it. Have you ever been there? You ever needed a shortcut?
Yeah.
I mean, who don't, right? You ever been through a situation that was so painful, so hard? I mean, it could be education. It could be health. It could be saving money to get a house. But it seems like it's gonna take forever. And you start to ask yourself, man, where that shortcut at, right? Me too. So by 21, right, I had been in jail 21 times. Driving on suspended license, speeding, criminal trespassing the vehicle, criminal damage to property, assault and battery on police, evading arrest. And by 28, robbery, escape, murder. And I'm down south. I'm charged with murder 1. So I'm facing the death penalty. The death penalty. So now I'm in a life or death situation, right? My life gets to flashing before my eyes. Everything coming back to me. And what do I see? Shortcut after shortcut after shortcut after shortcut that I took. And a lot of them a long time ago should have ended my life. Like when I was hustling out all night with the twins, right? In Milwaukee. Got robbed at gunpoint. Caught slipping. Made it out. The gang affiliate shootouts. I made it out. All the fights with the police officers. I got my jaw broke 3 times, in 3 places, one time in Memphis, Tennessee. Situation could have ended up like Freddie Gray's, Dante Wright, or George Floyd's. I was shot point blank range in the face by my ex-wife. I'm still here today. That's my ex, but. But as I'm sitting there waiting to go to trial, I beg God, I pray to God, please God, just give me one more chance. One more chance. If I can get time for the crime and I'm not assigned to the afterlife, I'm a sacrifice and I'm gonna make a change. Yeah, I'm a sacrifice and I'm gonna make a change. I get 35 years. I got found not guilty of murder 1 and got charged of murder 2. Got 35 years. Boom! There goes my second chance. I ain't get the death penalty. But wait a minute, hold up. 35 years. Right? That's a long time. At the time, I'm 30 years old. That's longer than I've been alive. I got to thinking like, man, out of all the shortcuts I done took, this as far as it got me? Ladies and gentlemen, what I realized right then and there was that the shortcut is actually the long route. And the long route is the shortcut. Say that one more time in case you missed it. The shortcut is actually the long route. And the long route is in fact the shortcut. So now ain't no way out. Ain't nowhere to go. Nothing better to do but to better myself. So that's exactly what I do. I did 18 years total. The first 10 years was done on Supermax.
Oh, wow.
You know what that is? Yes. Shoot program, ninja. 23-hour lockdown. It ain't funny. It wasn't funny then, but it's funny now. I can joke about it, you know. 23-hour lockdown out of 24 hours a day. Homies died. Cousins died. Auntie Sylvie died. Auntie Joe died. Man, Grandma died. I couldn't do nothing about it. So I had to figure out a way to make this long route less difficult, uncomfortable, irritating. So I started exercising. Started exercising every day. Cultivating my mind. I started reading. I started reading everything I could get my hands on. A book that I read over and over and over again was the Bible. I tapped into that spiritual side that I never knew that was there. But when I look back, he had been there all along. The shootouts, being shot in the face, escaping the death penalty. So I started exploring that relationship with the higher power. I started seeking something that was outside of myself, bigger than myself. I'm transformed because of it. My old friends know. Because when I got released, I faced many challenges readjusting to society. But because of my relationship with God, it's helped me keep discipline and have discipline. It's helped me take time to make good decisions. It's helped me to build healthy, solid relationships. And it's helped me keep a positive mindset. So, anybody struggling out there with anything, I encourage you to read, find a book with principles to a higher power, the Torah, the Bible, Quran, whatever you believe in. But choose a higher power over shortcuts. The second thing I did along that long route to make things feel less difficult, uncomfortable, and irritating is education. Man, back then, I took every opportunity to educate myself. I took everything they had to offer. Anger management, thinking for a change, life skills, health and wellness, Voltech for upholstery. I even got my GED. I found out I was an artist. I started drawing. I started painting. I started doing portraits for people. I started making greeting cards. Then I started doing murals and logos for the prison, for the wardens. Then I'm getting paid money legally from the wardens and the inmates on my book. Now that changes the game when you locked up and you know you need money for commissary.
Yeah.
Right? And since I got out, my education is still accelerating my life. I'm able to get jobs. I own my own LLC since 2020 as a handyman. Thank you. You guys can book me too. And I'm continuing to do art. I just held an exhibit for an entire month at the University of Illinois. Thank you. I'm proud to say I'm a vendor for the university now. I was an honorable mention on the WCIA 3 News for my independent art galleries that I host here in town. Right here in this building is where they filmed it, actually. So I'm thankful for that. Now, if you want to skip some struggles in your life, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but try education over shortcuts. And the third thing I did to make my long route feel less difficult, uncomfortable, and irritating was focus on making a positive impact. When my father took his shortcut, I just left, not knowing how to deal with the situation. I caused a lot of pain with my mother instead of staying there with her and helping her. I sold drugs to a woman that eventually became my son's grandmother. I negatively impacted her, my son's mother, and my son. The impact I used to have on my community was damaging. I hurt people, and I caused fear. But today, I have a positive impact on my community. With my artwork, I've raised money with Carl and Mills Breast Cancer Center through a project I call Ruby, which is art on clothing. I raised money for Urbana School District. I raised money for local artists here in town to have a voice and expression, a place to express themselves with 40 North. I've raised money for AIDS awareness with a campaign called Artists Against AIDS. I'm a loving husband. I'm a father. Many friends call me for advice about life, about relationships, and about big decisions sometimes. Amazing things can happen when you choose a positive impact over shortcuts. Now, these lessons I've learned on my journey, I'm sharing with you. So you can choose freely today. You don't have to learn the hard way the way I did. However, my story serves as a reminder that no matter the hardships that you do face, you hold the power to change your life. You can overcome your past. You can achieve a better future. Now on the way, for sure, there's some shortcuts you can take. Go ahead and use that box of Jiffy. You ain't got to make the cornbread from scratch. Right?
Yeah. No.
Right, somebody gonna say no, right? Go ahead, go to H&R Block. Don't stay up all night crunching the numbers. Save your time. Go left, instead of right. Save you 3 minutes. It's cool, it's okay. But for the big stuff, take the long route. Choose a higher power over shortcuts. Because shortcuts is the long route. And long route is a shortcut to the things that matters the most in life. Thank you.
Let's keep the, can y'all hear me? There we go. Let's keep the round of applause for Mr. Harvester. He looked nervous to me. He did that. We appreciate his stories, man. How many of y'all ever took a shortcut and ended up getting lost? Like, man, I knew I should have stayed on the right road. It happened to you in real life and not just in the car. So, man, that was a great, inspiring, motivational speech. It reminded me, myself, to, you know, even as I advance, to always remember to put in the hard work, take the long routes, because through my life, every time I seem to take that shortcut led me to some type of correctional institution, county jail. I've been in foster homes and state penitentiary and federal penitentiary. So always, sometimes we want to take them shortcuts. Well, now we got to remember Mr. Harvester's story. You see what happens, man. We can't take them shortcuts. Sometimes we have to be in the field. We have to fight it through. We got to take that long route. I used to work for FedEx. That was part of when I got out of prison. That was one of the jobs I had, working for FedEx. And even when I thought I knew the land in some areas and went to take another route, I always found myself lost or stuck in the mud or somewhere. So they had to call them, come get me. Mr. Sims, you stuck again? Yeah, I seen the road go through. I thought it went all the way through. And now they got to call the tow truck. I'm messing up their time. So that's a great story and a great reminder. Another round of applause for Beth. And so our next speaker is a force for change and empowerment. When I came in, we were speaking, and for the first 3 or 4 sentences, I heard the same thing 4 times. I just love helping people. And I love that because I was always told it's not about what you gather, but what you scatter that will tell you the type of lifestyle that you have lived. And so she's a force for change and empowerment, hailing from Champaign, Illinois, with over a decade of dedicated service as an employee for the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign and First Followers Reentry Program. Tamika has tirelessly championed causes of justice and progress. As the proud founder of GEMS, Girls Empowered and Mentored for Success, and a compassionate life coach for Dream, she is committed to nurturing the potential of young women and guiding them towards success. Honored with awards, including the esteemed Ayo Handy Kendi Women of the Year Award and the heartfelt Not On My Watch Mother of the Year Award, Tamika has discovered her true purpose in helping young women who feel lost find inspiration, hope, and healing. Drawing from her own journey of overcoming challenges, she firmly believes that the person closest to the problem is closest to the solution. I'd like to bring to the stage Miss Tamika Davis.
Go, girl.
Sometimes when you're lost, it's hard to find your way. I remember being a little girl who loved to dance, jump double dutch, watch cartoons, read books, break dance, and even sing. But lost is how I feel when I'm 10 years old and DCFS knocks on the door to take me from my mom because she's an abuser. It takes me away from the verbal abuse, the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, and even the sexual abuse. But it doesn't feel like home. Lost is how I feel when I look at my body and I'm told that the color of my skin is so dark and that I would never amount to anything. Or when I touch my body and I find the wounds that once was gushing with blood that my mother put there. Lost is how I feel when I'm on a home visit at 13 and I'm feeling like, why do I exist in this world? My life is like jumping out of an airplane with no parachute. Everything is spiraling down and out of control. And the only way is down. So I take a bottle of pills. But I'm still here. Lost is how I feel at 15 and I have my first son, Treviante. My DCFS worker comes to my father's house and she says, here, sign this paper so he can stay with your dad and you go back to the children's home, and only to know that I signed my parental rights away. Lost is how I feel at 16 years old and I get kicked out of the children's home, kicked out of foster care. Finally, I'm able to go to my grandma's house. Now, one thing about my grandma's house, I had to be in at 8 p.m. at 16. Y'all know that was not gonna happen. Forget about feeling lost. I felt like doing exactly what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, and how I wanted to do it. So I started hanging out in the projects at my friend Kay's house every day. On September the 19th, 1999, I'm on my way there. I see a lot of police cars. I'm walking closer. My guts start having conversations. Don't go there. Oh, but my friend lives in that building. Man, don't go. I walk up to her house. Sure enough, she's getting raided. Police everywhere. Her door wide open. I walk up to the door. Her and the officer walk into another room. She come out holding this bag. She said, "Hey, Tamika, can you take this bag outside for me?" I wanted to help, so I grabbed the bag and on my way out, the officer said, "Hey, you on arrest." "For what?" "You're in possession of a controlled substance." "What?" I dropped that bag like it was some hot coals, but it was too late. That's how I caught my first drug case with 3 years of probation. Boom! I'm back to feeling lost, confused, hurt, angry, and betrayed. By this time, I'm 17. I have 2 children. One lives with me, one lives with my father. We live in pillar to post, couch to couch, motel to hotel. I'm just trying to make ends meet. I can't get no housing assistance due to this bogus drug case. After years of struggling, at 19, I finally get my own apartment, my own home for 3 out of 4 of my children, Joseph, Jonisha, James. Now it's in a high drug area, and I became a product of my own environment. Then one day, I'm at a party, and I run into a blast from the past, good old Jack, the guy who introduced me to selling drugs. Our eyes locked, my gut locked too. It's like suddenly a brick appeared in my stomach. And I got to having conversations again. Don't deal with him. He ain't no good for you. Oh, let's just see what he wants. So we catch up. I tell him I'm doing good for myself. He know I'm selling drugs. We exchange page numbers. Now a lot of y'all don't know what pages are. It's okay. A few days later, he rolls up to my door with a sweet deal, one I just couldn't pass up. He say, "Hey, I know where I can go get 4.5 ounces of powder cocaine for $2,500. I'm like, oh, quick fast on my feet. Boom, that's a $3,500 profit. Okay, let's get it. I'm blinded by what I think is love. And the thought of getting all that money. I can see us now. Me by his side, Bunny and Clyde, building an empire. That's what I thought. But my hopes and dreams came fast. On June 15, 1999, I sold drugs to an undercover informant. The Alphabet Boys, better known as the Feds. I don't go to jail right then and there. A month later, I ended up going to the county on a different case. But before that was over, the feds came and got me. The same day, they picked up Jack. That's when I found out he got married to another woman. Whoa. In hopes of shortening his 15-year sentence. Now I'm lost, angry, alone, heartbroken, and locked up. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to my children? How did I get here? Is there any way out? Have any anybody ever felt like that. On January 7th of 2000, I was sentenced to 121 months. That's 10 years and 1 month. I had to do 8 years and 4 months. I remember feeling like the air had left my body. My heart started beating fast. I got lightheaded, frozen in time. I wanted to drop down the size of a mouse, a bug, a fly, anything to escape that courtroom. It wasn't a death sentence, but I wanted to die. Tears fell from my eyes, and I heard myself saying, "Oh Lord, take me now!" I was 22, no education, no moral values, no direction. I was at rock bottom, utterly and completely lost. But being incarcerated gave me time to reflect. Time to remember that little girl who loved to dance, read books, watch cartoons, sing, and break dance. The little girl who just wanted to be accepted and loved. The one that got tired of thinking people you were gonna finish last to finish first. That little girl. It became time of transformation and in discovering my inner compass. A compass is something that shows and gives direction. It shows you the way. I never knew I had it inside of me. But I believe we all have an inner compass that can show us the way through any hurdle of life and through any storm of life. Today I want to help you guys find your inner compass, minus my hardships. The first step to finding your inner compass is healing. On my 25th birthday, I sat on a prison bench and I was looking up at the sky and I just began to pray. I said, Lord, I can't go out the same way I came in. Change me from the inside out. Lord, help me. Being vulnerable is a start of healing. And the hardest part, it's hard looking back over your life, brick by brick, acknowledging all those broken pieces. I had to heal from my pain that my mother put me through. I had to understand that she also was hurt growing up, so she thought it was cool to inflict pain on me. The hardest one, I had to learn to forgive those who took my innocence at an early age. And I had to acknowledge that people that I call friends were the ones that hurt me. The ones that hurt me to save themselves. As I started healing, my inner compass started forming. I went to counseling to get all the necessary tools I needed. I committed for real, became real for me. I journaled, I took anger management, I got all kinds of certificates. Every time it was something I signed up, I was in pictures, I was going, yeah, I'm going to this, I'm doing that, I'm going to that too. Eventually, instead of feeling like my only option was down, I finally felt a potential to rise and go up.
All right. Yeah.
I encourage you today to take those steps towards healing. Even if it's one step at a time, one brick at a time. The second step to finding your inner compass is setting personal goals. The day when I walked up to Kay's, when she was getting raided, I was focused on her to make sure she was okay. When Jack approached me with his too good to be true offers, I was focused on him. But I never stopped to focus on me. Why? I had never defined goals for Tamika. When I was incarcerated, my counselor kept asking me, what do you want to do in life? What do you see yourself doing in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? What do you want to accomplish? And when this part of your journey is over, Tamika, what's next? So I began to set goals. I knew I wanted to be educated, so I did what was necessary to earn my GED. That then allowed me to earn college credits at the University of Illinois through the Odyssey Project. I knew when I came home, I would need a stable job, so I got an apprenticeship in janitorial housekeeping. That turned into a job that I've had for the last 10 years. I wanted to be a positive person, so I spent time with positive people and distanced myself from the negativity. Today, I am a life coach and a peer mentor for other people who were formerly incarcerated. That's right, with work and dreams working with teens. Those goals became my north on my compass. Instead of spinning with no direction, I knew which way to go, and that was up. So let me ask you this. What do you see yourself in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? What do you want to do in life? And what do you want to accomplish on this part of your journey? I'll wait. Something to soak in. The final part of finding your compass is the moving needle. I had to learn the hard way. A compass doesn't work well if you're standing still. But the needle moves when you move. When I was working towards my healing, there was many days when I didn't want to do the work because it was painful. If I skipped counseling, my needle showed me I was going in the wrong direction. When I went to counseling, my compass showed me that I was on the right track. I just had to get out of my own way. I began to walk away from fights and toward my goals of becoming a positive person. Today, my choices are guided by my moving needle. I keep stepping forward. And even if I get a little off course, it's okay. My inner compass shows me how to get back on track. Yeah. If it worked for me, I know it'll work for everybody out there as well. Keep moving ahead and check that needle to see if you're stepping closer or further from your goals. 5 months ago, I started a nonprofit called GEMS, Girls Empowered Mentoring for Success. This organization helps girls find hope and healing, gain tools to navigate challenges that come their way, overcome the trials and tribulations of life, grow inner strength that leads to success. And when I share my story, I know many can relate. They see parts of themselves in my story and realize that they are not alone in these life challenges. But this never have been possible without my inner compass. That's why I encourage you tonight to also find yours. Start healing. Start setting goals. Get to moving to move your needle along your path towards a brighter future, living life to the fullest, maximizing your potential no matter what comes your way. Find your inner compass. Thank you.
Keep the applause going. Find your inner compass. And healing. Healing is most important. When I was on my last prison, sitting in the federal prison, it took me about 6 months. I used to say this affirmation: I am greater than the situation that I'm in. It took me about 6 months before I had faith in that. You say, what do you mean, Cordell? Well, I believed it at first, but then I realized belief is perhaps what I think was the truth. But after about 6 months, I knew it, and that was the faith. I knew I was actually greater than the situation that I was in. And it took some healing. I had to come into my why. And so I'll leave you with, because she was speaking on healing, and it hit me. A lot of times we do what we do, and we find our purpose because our purpose is our why. And we are our why. So when I say why, it breaks down to 4 different fashions. 1, you need to figure out who or what is hurting you. The second fashion is you need to figure out who or what is hindering you. Third fashion is you need to figure out who or what can help you. And then the last fashion, to come over it all, to step into your why, is you need to figure out who and what can heal you. And like that healing she was talking about, once she became healed, she got on her compass, she had a vision, she seen her goals, and she been living her why. Because she is the why for those young women in gyms. Let's get another round of applause for Mr. Speaker Davis. Our next speaker, Voices of Freedom, is originally from Chicago, but relocated to the Champaign, Urbana area to complete high school and found a new home in the process. Currently serving as an achievement coach at Dream Opportunities, a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering youth. Shamar is passionate about making a difference in the lives of young people. In addition, Shamar is also an intern at the Office of State Representative Carol Amons. I don't know if I said that right, but hopefully I did. Carol Amons, where he actively contributes to legislative efforts that uplift and support marginalized communities. On February 21st, 2024, he was honored with the prestigious Next Generation Award from the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus Foundation, recognizing his commitment to creating positive change, looking ahead at just 23 years old. Shamar is determined to continue his work with youth, aspiring to make an even greater impact in the future. With his passion, drive, and dedication to serving others, Shamar Betts is poised to become a leader in his community and beyond. Welcome to the stage, our next speaker, Mr. Shamar Betts.
Yeah, hear me good? Yep. Remember as kids, we were always told that we could be anything we wanted when we grew up. There's some truth to that statement, but in actuality, it only applies to a select few. The majority of us have to become what our circumstances allow us to be. Being born and raised on the south side of Chicago, where drive-bys and peers being killed on school grounds was normal, I've always felt that my chances of becoming anything I wanted to be was a bit slim. I know that Chicago has always had its ways, But I grew up in a generation of senseless violence and drill rap, and that controlled most of the peer pressure that goes on. Luckily, I had my mom to help steer me to a positive path. She made sure that I never went on the block with the other kids and even transferred me to a private Catholic school so that I wouldn't have to deal with the regular public school issues. At the time, I hated it. And I didn't realize that she was trying to save my life. I had to find that out the hard way when I lost her and I was 12 years old. She passed away due to a heart attack. And coming from a true mama's boy, losing her was an undescribable depression. It knocked me off the path that she paved for me and sacrificed so much to do so. From that point on, my sister and I, we bounced around from different family members like grandparents, aunts, uncles, even close friends. We knew never to get comfortable wherever we moved to because we'd probably be leaving pretty soon. From grade 6 to 10th, I went to 9 different schools in 4 different states. Finally, my brother moved me here to Champaign to finish my last 2 years of high school. He ended up going back to Chicago towards the end of my senior year, so I had to hold down our apartment by myself. That summer, I met Savannah Donovan, who is an environmental specialist at the Anita Purves Nature Center. She gave me my first job in childcare, which turned out to be a beautiful field of work. I began thriving through the Urbana Park District, working at various locations and eventually having a chess club at the Urbana Middle School. Throughout the ups and downs that I went through those couple years, I can't say that I was actually happy because I was somewhere that felt like home. I took a morning of May 31st, 2020. I could vividly remember how frustrated I was due to the fact I was laid off after COVID hit. And then I viewed the video of George Floyd's death for the first time. And I remember that frustration quickly turning into anger, fear, and even grief for a man and his family that I didn't even know. So I decided to express my emotions on social media like a lot of 19-year-olds do. I did jump an extra mile and turned that expressing into a Black Lives Matter flyer for people to meet at Marketplace Mall and actually stand up for our rights and how we felt about this injustice situation. Honestly, that movement turned into a riot. When I got to the mall at 3 o'clock, the angle that I came on, there was no car in sight, not one person. I actually thought nobody had showed up, even though that the Facebook post had went viral in about 3 hours. There were race wars under the comments and people constantly texting me, asking if I was serious about showing up and things like that. By the time I came around the other side of the mall, I seen hundreds of people just out there, standing around in cars, sitting on top of them. Some had posters. There was a lot of screaming. I remember on the outskirts coming past that some people were yelling at me like, "Don't do this," and "You're about to ruin the community." And at that time, I didn't pay it any mind and kept surfacing through the crowd to where I got around more people who was pointing at me saying, "It's him, it's the guy who made the post," and asking me like, "Are we serious? Are we really about to do this?" And my first response was, "Yeah, let's do it." And before I could even develop the speech that was coming behind it, they were already bombarding the mall. After that, people started leaving the mall and marching down Prospect and Neal. And that's when realization kicked in that I really started a movement. And at the time, a lot of people would be looking at it as destruction, as violent, but at that moment, I looked at it as I was helping send a message that we as a people wouldn't stand for this type of injustice. When I got to my friend's house, I got back on Facebook and instantly seen my employee picture all over with a caption that read, Urbana Park District Employee Incites Riot. My brother seen me on the news actually, and he wasn't even in the state. He called and he said that he would come get me before things got worse. There was some type of state of emergency, so I literally had to leave in the trunk because officers were searching cars with a flashlight at the interstates. He took me to where my dad lives in Truman, Mississippi, which happens to be one of the poorest towns in the country. So we thought it would be the perfect place to lay low. And you all wouldn't believe that I was arrested 4 days later. And in the beginning of this new journey, I went through something called diesel therapy. I'm not sure why, but I do know around that time, former President Trump had addressed the nation and labeled myself and many others who participated in Black Lives Matter movements domestic terrorists. And for those of you who don't know what diesel therapy is, it is a method by law enforcement personnel of getting rid of troublesome individuals. This method consists of randomly moving an inmate to new places across the country, new jails across the country, and keeping the individual from population and limiting their contact to the outside world. So just take some time and think about who you were at the age of 19. And imagine having to go through that shackled on a plane with some of the worst inmates in federal prison. When I made it back to Illinois, I felt a huge relief. I was hoping that I would receive bond and be able to fight this case at home. And I did. Except the next day, it was revoked by the district judge because they said that I was a threat to the community and also a flight risk. So I spent roughly a year, a bit more, fighting this case. My lawyer, Elizabeth Podluck, and I, the first thing we went for was dismissal due to freedom of speech. But there's something called the Anti-Rioting Act, and that is overbroad than our Constitution rights of freedom of speech. So that didn't work. And then we just decided that we would fight for probation. Since this is my first offense, I'm 19, and I made a Facebook post. Well, I ended up receiving 4 years in federal prison and a restitution order of $1.6 million for all the damages and things that were stolen during the riot. This $1.6 million gets paid by taking 50% of my disposable income a month. And until these speeches get a bit bigger, that's looking like a life sentence. Altogether, I ended up doing 3.5 years at FCI Hazleton in West Virginia, AKA Misery Mountain. If I thought my time in the county was a bit difficult, this was a whole different ballgame. I've probably seen more than 10 deaths. There's times that we went on lockdowns for 3 to 4 months because of race wars and whatever that could happen at any time. I remember calling my mentor, Savannah, and in the beginning, I'm like, you won't believe what just happened. We were just on lockdown for 2 months. Somebody got stabbed in the neck. Towards the end, I'm calling like, yeah, how you doing? We just got out of 4-month lockdown. My cellie died, but what's going on out there? Became a bit institutionalized. And then I met someone named Janice Jays, who happened to randomly set up a video call just to hear my side of the story. And that turned into her helping me create my own voice and publish articles like Donald Trump versus Shamar Betts, which speaks on how I was labeled a domestic terrorist by former President Trump, and then 7 months later, he incited an insurrection at the Capitol building. But he's not going through nearly any of the consequences that I am, and he's 3 times my age. And between Janice and Savannah, and people like James Kilgore, who gave me hope that it was a community just like me waiting when I got out, they helped steer me back to that path that my mom paved a long time ago. Now let's fast forward 10 months later. I'm home now. Woo! I'm a published author. Woo! I'm an achievement coach for 4th and 5th grade at Dream. I'm a constituent services intern with the state representative, Carol Emmons. I received the Generation Next Award from the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus Foundation. And tonight I also have this opportunity to share my story with you all. Now, even with how good that sounds, of course, I still have to worry with dealing with a $1.6 million restitution order. And as I said before, it takes 50% of my disposable income, which I found out that disposable dealing with the government is just the money after taxes. I thought it was money after spending, after you pay your bills and things like that. I also have to deal with being scared for my life every day.
Yeah.
When a police officer pulls me over and runs my name, what pops up in the system is maybe a member of a terrorist organization, armed and dangerous, violent tendencies. An officer's protocol is to ask me, is there any knives, guns, grenades, or rocket launchers in the car that they should know about? Which I feel like is definitely something to be scared over.
Yeah.
I feel like their demeanors when they approach me is different than how they normally would. And also I'm dealing with knowing that the recidivism rate is 37.1%. That means that nearly 40% of people who are released return to prison within their first year out. I say all this because I did get through one situation, but I am forced with a new situation at hand, and I have to stay consistent to the same mindset that I had coming home. Being able to slow down and listen to my mentors to take their advice before I make bigger decisions. I've also learned about networking. As people, we all struggle, and we all may be able to help another in a different way. You never know who has the solution to your problems, and I feel like as a whole, we can always support one another. When you develop a mindset like that, those quotes like, it takes a village and it's not always about what you know, they become more evident in your life. So to end it off today, I want to leave you all with a Huey P. Newton quote, which happens to be my favorite, and it's called, "I am we." If you met an African man in ancient times and asked him who he was, his response would be, "I am we." I, we, all of us are the one and the multitude. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Let's keep the round of applause going. We always need those, we hate to see those younger ones impacted by the system and follow in our footsteps. But what I love to see is we have younger generation coming into the forefront and facing the things that they're facing and still stepping up to be a voice of freedom. So let's give them another round of applause. So we got a couple of videos that we're going to be playing before we get into our final speaker. One of the videos is a trailer that I brought, that we're producing a documentary last year. This is actually how I met our next speaker, our final presenter. I did a tour around the country. I went to eight different states, and I did a empowerment workshop, reentry empowerment workshop tour. I took a team of formerly successful incarcerated individuals. We went into 8 different states, 20 plus institutions. We held full-day reentry workshops and provided mentorships for over 1,000 guys incarcerated. So what you're going to see, one of the videos will be a trailer from one of the workshops that we did in Chicago.
Bill Sims, reentry consultant, motivational speaker, author, founder, owner of On the Inside Reentry Academy.
I've been to prison 5 times, county jails 4 times. Same type of lifestyle living. Grew up in a poverty neighborhood. My mom was on crack. Father wasn't nowhere around.
Yeah, right now we're in Chicago, Illinois, at Cook County Division 11. Speaking to the participants at the Cook County Jail. We got entrepreneurship workshop, we got vision board, we got goal setting, we got parenthood, all led by formerly incarcerated individuals. It's about 8 or 9 of us here on today, so we're here to make impact and also to be able to inspire the men upon their release, it can be successful as well.
This is actually for my vision when I got out of prison, to come back and give people the game, like how to be successful. And it's really all about having a vision. That's what I do in the workshop. Talk about having a vision for yourself, creating vision boards, how to set the goals to accomplish the vision.
First time you get incarcerated, you should be preparing for your release. What's the vision I got for my family? What's the vision I got for their career?
All the times I was running in and out of prison, I ain't have a vision for myself. The only vision I seen was me going back to the block, hustling, selling crack, and I'm right back locked up. So the only time I came out of prison with a vision and prepared with an actual plan, I ain't never been back. The participants can't say, oh, you don't know what it's like. Like, yeah, I know what it's like. We can relate more. So that's my whole 2 goals, was bring hope for those on the inside and showcase the talent of successful formerly incarcerated educators.
One more video for you all.
Century in the blues on the new had me confused, stepping off that bus, shackled in tools, thinking this ain't cool. These bricks, this bit, this whole fleet feeling as if something got to give and give quick. Homesick, trying to be strong for so damn long. My mama starting to wonder where in the hell she went wrong. But all along, I know I'm the cause of starting and stopping. I know I'm the cause that had Crucian cell blocking it, watching clocks tick while living in them bad conditions. They're tight positions, they got us ghetto children all hidden from our families missing. So we scatter, sadder and matter. We smiling on no flicks, but this ain't no laughing matter. So from here on after, I'm trying to break that pattern. That's why I'm all up in your ear, cause they don't want you to hear that you gotta move smart. It ain't about being harder, ain't nothing harder than missing missing your son and daughter as a father, eating cheap ass noodles, reading appeal refusals, collect call disapprovals. This whole system is brutal. Hell, I'm giving you jewels so you won't make these mistakes and have to do life it takes or become a ward of the state. Cause it's more than just fate, so heed the warning and take every day beyond the walls and gates to just pray. Lord, if this is fate, then what I speak is innate, or what takes place on the roughest piece of real estate. My mouth full of prayers, bricks by the layers. If it don't get worse first, it's gonna get greater later. They call it complaining, well I call it explaining. Not the part of the game, ain't nobody been claiming, with more bodies detaining. Help me answer this riddle, which place on earth's face houses the hardest initials? Try the DOC and that BOP. I'm out here fighting on these streets till we be all free. They think we be all sheep, sideline, they confined by design, passing duck with shots of fire signs. Better read between the lines, cause these people ain't playing. Oh, it ain't gon' happen to you, shorty, alright, I'm just saying. I just left grown men who thought the same damn thing. Now they praying out of despair and they sound like this here. Lord, if this is fate, then what I speak is innate, or what takes place on the roughest piece of real estate. My mouth full of prayers, bricks by the layers. If it don't get worse first, it's gonna get greater later. Lord, if this is fate, then what I speak is innate, or what takes place on the roughest piece of real estate. My mouth full of prayers, bricks by the layers. If it don't get worse first, it's gonna get greater later. Get your mind right while you still got time. If it's harder today's, then better tomorrow's you'll find. That's just a reminder to shine.
We get another round of applause for the video. Just give yourself a round of applause for coming out tonight. And the speakers before, that we had before them, give them a round of applause as well. As we get into our final speaker for the Voices of Freedom event. As I said before, I met Crew almost a year ago. He was part of the team when we went into, on the video, we went into Cook County. And this is important because Shamar talked about the networking and meeting mentors and connecting with people who's been through similar stories, who's been through the background and been through similar walks that you, because they help you grow. And for those that know me, that's what I'm all about, connections, mentoring, and building, because the more of us that we have, the collaboration that we have, the more work that we can get done. Crew is a beacon of inspiration. From Chicago, but currently living in Champaign, Illinois, to pursue a degree in communication at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Crew Shine is not just a student, but serves as a consultant for the Education Justice Project's P2G Pathway Initiative, providing his dedication to paving the way for formerly incarcerated individuals. License my way, I got to move over here. Yes. Proving his dedication to paving the way for formerly incarcerated individuals to access higher education. He is the creative force behind Remind to Shine Motivational Media, a platform that spreads messages of hope and resilience, inspired by his own journey of triumph over tragedy. Through compelling storytelling and uplifting content, Crew Shine's mission is to ignite the spark of hope in hearts that need it the most. As the visionary mind behind the Voices of Freedom Speaker Showcase, providing a platform for voices that refuse to be silenced. Crew Shine empowers individuals to share their stories of resilience, redemption, and renewal, inspiring audience to embrace their own potential for greatness. Let's bring up our next speaker, Mr. Crew Shine Stubbs.
Thank you all for coming out. It's good to see you all here. So I'm gonna start with just engaging you all with a thought. Outside of death, what would you say is the greatest fear for people? If you thought public speaking, you're absolutely right. Trust me, I was nervous back there and so were they. But why does this fear hold such power over us? It's simple. Communication is the lifeblood of success. So as an introvert myself, while incarcerated, I realized that if I was to make a successful reintegration back into society, I needed to come out of my shell and actually discover my voice. My first step was enrolling in a public speaking program known as Toastmasters, where I challenged myself to embrace the awkwardness, lean into the discomfort, until I actually found my rhythm. Trusting that my message would find its way to the right ears, your ears. Here it is, I had discovered my authentic voice in the very place where voices go to be buried. And yet when I found that power, I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. My friends and family, they had their own thoughts. You should talk about your experience inside. No. You should share your insights on gun violence and reentry, those real issues. Who? Me? Oh, heck no. After all that time I just did, when I get out, I don't want to think about prison. I don't want to talk about prison. Hell, I don't even want to say words that begin with the letter P. I didn't want to speak about prison, let alone I didn't want to wear it on my chest like some Superman sign. But when I got out, lo and behold, the joke was on me. Because with or without a P on my chest, I actually learned that society had already placed an X on my back. It's a scarlet letter of a felony record, which to this day follows me around like a pesky mosquito at a nudist camp. Intent on just biting me with discrimination, job rejection. Uber Eats even denied me because I had a record. I'm like, really? What did you think I was going to do? Breaking in into someone's pizza order? Assault their French fries? Kidnap their Dr. Pepper? It was this pettiness and this discrimination that actually moved me from once encaged to fully engaged, trying to shine a light on the fact that a felony record is the most horrible gift because it just keeps on giving. Coincidentally, the vocabulary needed to do this kind of work, I actually picked up as a child, growing up in Chicago. Let me explain. Whenever I wanted candy money, my grandfather used to negotiate with me. You want some money, huh? Okay, I'll tell you what. I give you 25 cents for every newspaper article you read aloud. Genius move, right? Because it was that first initial step that made me fall in love with words. And of course, candy money for lemon heads and Donkey Kong. But it was my mother who had the biggest impact on me. She started decorating the house. She called it decorating for success. She would plaster the staircase with her degrees and her achievements, making it so that every time I walked up the stairs, each step reminded me of her dreams and aspirations for me. And at the very top stood an empty picture frame on the wall. Her never missing an opportunity to remind me, oh yeah, it's your job to fill it with your high school diploma. So you can imagine how defeated I felt when I learned that I might not graduate on time from high school because of some missing credits. Panic, right? Nah, I did what any smart teenager would do. I hatched a plan straight out of a sitcom. I said, look, check this out. This is me talking to myself. So, Chicago schools have to be far more advanced than these downstate ones, right? So maybe if I could convince my grandmother to let me live with her in Georgetown, which is just 45 minutes away from here, then I'll be where the grass is greener and hopefully the homework's easier. Spoiler alert, it actually worked. When I got there, I actually did my thing in them classrooms. They were like, "You're not from here." I was like, "No, I'm not." And so I handled my business in taking care of that schoolwork. Because I wanted to prove a point, that little minor setback was just a stepping stone for my comeback. So when I finally graduated and got that diploma, I so happily handed it over to my mother as if it was made of gold. I'm like, "Oh." She gave me the honor of hanging it up. So I hung it up, but I wanted to catch her in the middle of it. So I turned around just to see that fulfilled smile on her face. That's when she whipped out another empty picture frame. Now fill this one with a college degree for me, son. Just when I thought it was out, she pulled me back in. She's quick too. So armed with new marching orders, I enrolled in the local community college. In 1993, as an 18-year-old high school graduate, full-time employed college student, life for me was like an open road, paved with promise and possibility. And yet, I didn't realize that a plot twist of devastating proportions lurked just around the corner. You see, my grandmother's house was the hottest spot in town. For burglaries, that is. Behind it all, my uncle's drug-addicted friend who lived 2 doors down. In what seemed like a blink of an eye, they turned my grandmother's house into their own personal shopping mall. Each stolen item felt like a blow to our sense of safety and security. And yet, my grandmother was taking it real easy. Rather than call the police, she chose prayer over action in addressing this danger. Being from Chicago, I had a different take on this one. I said, "Look, Grandma, I love the fact that you got a heart of gold. But Grandma, they're robbing you of your gold, your diamonds, and everything else in this house. Heck, I got a studio in my bedroom. What's to say they're not gonna take that next?" Her reply, "Well, we'll just have to see what happens. I tell you what, let's get a bolt lock for your bedroom door." Huh? Because nothing quite says security like a bolt lock, huh? She missed the point entirely, nor did she grasp how as her grandson, I felt a heavy responsibility to protect her. I already felt guilty for leaving her vulnerable overnight because I had to work 3rd shift. But as fate would have it, one early Monday morning, I returned home to a scene of devastation. The front door stood wide open, a sign of the chaos that awaited me inside. I cautiously stepped in to discover that my bedroom door, the 145 with that bolt lock, had been rammed open, hanging from the one hinge that chose not to give. I called out in concern, calling my grandmother. "Grandma, are you okay? What happened?" I don't know. I came home and saw it like this. I didn't know if someone was still inside. Make sure nothing's missing. Surveying the damage to my room, as if a tornado had hit, anger began to boil within me. All the contents in my room laid to waste. My studio equipment, gone. Everything rifled through. I checked my hiding spot to see if they took the money that I had saved up. It was still there. I clutched onto it like a lifeline. But as I looked around, taking it all in, Warm water began to fall from my eyes as anger began to rise up in my chest. And though my legs felt weak, I ran right around the corner to my friend's house, seeking some type of understanding. Like, why is this happening to me? My friend sympathized with me, revealing that the same dude had tried to sell him a gun plus items he had stolen from us last week. Did they get your money too? Checking my pockets to make sure they ain't robbed me while I was standing there. Nah, they didn't get it. But we gonna get that gun. She doesn't want to call the police. They keep stealing. What else can I do? At least if they know I got the gun in the house to protect it, ain't no way they coming in after that, I promise you. And with that desperate, rash, and unwise decision, I handed my buddy the money and we walked over there. Now standing face to face with the one who had brought darkness to my doorstep, as my buddy pays him, he arrogantly brags on about how easy it was to steal a gun. Oh, and if you want another, I can steal another for you. The audacity of this dude saying this in my face arrogantly after he had just violated me in our home. Man, when they passed that gun around and placed it in my hand to see if I approved of the purchase, impulsively I snapped immediately, recklessly pulling the trigger. Boom! In a fraction of a second, I had foolishly given in to my own anger. Forever altering the course of my life and changing both of our families to feel all this pain, not just that morning, but forevermore. Before I was sentenced, the judge leveled with me. Mr. Stubbs, by all accounts, you were living a good life. You graduated high school, were working full time, you were in college. And had you caught this man in your house in the act, we'd possibly be talking about probation here. But because you went to him after the fact, I must sentence you to far more time. 45 years. Boom! That gavel hit harder than Thor's hammer. It meant I wasn't going anywhere, at least not for the next quarter of a century. Ultimately, I did 23 years, plus 4 more, equaling 27 years total inside of prison, plus 3 years of supervised release. And so when I talk to kids today, you know the first thing they say to me is, that's not gonna happen to me. I'm not going to jail. I'm not doing anything wrong. Oh, to be young and dumb. You know, I offer them my story to illustrate that you don't have to be a troubled kid just to get in trouble, kid. I wasn't in any trouble before this. You could be doing all the right things, and still trouble may find you. The difference is the decisions you make. That is gonna make the difference. I had to explain this to a young man just the other day. He came up to me upset. Mr. Prushan, you just don't understand. They be hating on me at school. I got ops. I say, yeah, I know. I know you got ops. You got options and opportunities that you need to be optimistic about. Nah, I'm saying they keep trying to bully me. I know, they bully me and my grandmother. Yeah, but I ain't no punk though. I know you're not. You're just upset, just like I was. But do you really think answering them with violence is the way to go? Listen here, shorty, if you even contemplating forfeiting your life just for get back, man, just forget that. Do not destroy your whole life over an emotion like I did. Just because things are going wrong don't mean you got to go with it. You always have a choice. Like when they shackled me up and marched me into that maximum security prison. I had a choice. I could allow my situation to break me or shape me. You already know which path I chose. I spent every day of each decade in there reading, writing, developing, growing myself to ensure that I came out better than when I first entered. And though sadly, my mother passed away just 6 years into my sentence, I made sure to uphold her vision of me in excellence. I immersed myself in education in prison. I devoured books one by one. And when I ran out, I got a job in the library. Taking every college program they had inside, to the point they told me, hey, you only got a limit. You can only take so much. I said, okay, well, can I become a GED tutor? So I gave back to the other students in there. Constantly learning, feeding my mind. Which is why upon arrival to this area, I eagerly pitched the idea of me sharing my hard-earned lessons with local schools, nonprofit organizations, and youth programs. I also seized the opportunity at Parkland to take the one biology class I needed to graduate, proudly receiving my associate degree in 2022. But you know what? As good as it felt, it wasn't enough. Not for my not for my mother. I know she's somewhere with an empty picture frame looking like. So I just kept on going. By actually applying to and successfully getting accepted into the University of Illinois here in Urbana-Champaign. And I'm now a current student and communications major.
Yeah.
I work with the Education Justice Project, making this all feel like full circle to me. I'm back on the college campus. But this time, I'm allowing people to follow my footsteps, my fellow returning citizens, to really reach their dream in seeking in higher education. And do you know, sometimes I ask myself, why me? The only reply I can keep coming up with is, why not you? I guess when you've fallen so hard like I have, you tend to be an advocate of helping people stand up at any cost. But like I was telling you, when I reached here, I tried to give back. This is my new community. Hey, I reached out to local schools, I reached out to these nonprofits, I reached out to these youth programs. And I thought I would get like the red carpet out. Like, hey, this dude has got this lived experience. He can actually feed the minds of these young kids. And that way they got an example in front of them. But instead, hell. I was met with reluctance. I was met with a brick wall. The harsh reality that they didn't want to embrace my voice. Instead, they wanted to discount it. Because they didn't see any value in it, nor me. But why? I once heard it explained like this. As Americans, we're so great at recycling, right? We can ensure that these plastic bottles get a second chance at life. And yet, you can't do the same for me? So you mean to tell me my garbage gets a chance to be of use to society again, but not a human? I mean, somebody please explain this to me. How we as a people can unanimously say, yes, it's the right thing to restore plastic and pop cans and everything else, but those humans, no. How can we do that? This is garbage and it's considered no good. And you can give it a second life. But a human who is often mislabeled as no good, you can't give a second chance. How do each of us contribute to this societal attitude of those with felony records, being throwaway people, restricting and hindering our ability to rebuild our lives, which in turn perpetuates a cycle of recidivism? I only ask because I encountered this 2 years ago, pushing the bill to legislators to open the gates of estate equity for those with felony records. Fun fact, I had never been to the state capitol before. I mean, I'm fresh out of being condemned by law. Now I'm standing here where laws are made. I felt out of place like a mug. But y'all should have seen me. I had my little slacks on, had my one-pagers, came down there with a team. I'm talking to state representatives, these senators, as if I worked there. But this is where it gets interesting. They've got an usher that stands outside of the chambers where they meet to make sure no one just walks in while they're in session. He takes notice. There's a whole team of us with these t-shirts on, and we deep. Oh yeah. So he says, hey buddy, come here. Who are you guys? And what's your deal about? I tell him it's an amendment to a law that declares if you have a felony record, you can't serve as the executor of your own mother's will or any loved one. He said, what? He said, hold on, am I hearing you correct? I explained to him a little further. He said, that's just wrong. Why should my mother have to pay for my past mistakes?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right. So let me see that one pager. He reads it. He says, well, darn, this is a pretty good bill. I can't argue against it. But it shouldn't apply to everyone, you know? Yeah? Explain. You know, certain crimes like murder or violence. I said, you don't say. Go on. Eventually, I dropped the bombshell. You know, I was once convicted of murder. You mean to tell me you would deny my grandmother the right to choose her grandson to meet out her last wishes? His eyes got bucked like a deer. Well, hold on now. He started stuttering and stammering and said, well, look here. I didn't mean people like you. I mean, you're one of the good ones. I said, oh, I'm one of the good ones. Whatever that means. He continued tripping over his words, running down exceptions to the rule. But you gotta consider this. But what about this? But I want to ask the man, are you related to Sir Mix-a-Lot? Because it's clear you like big butts and you cannot lie. What am I saying, people? Maybe some of you here hold these same judgments that certain people should be eligible, but other people, I would challenge you to be introspective and ask yourself, where does this mind state come from? And can I change it to realize the humanity in these people? We didn't come from Mars. We're returning citizens. That means we were here before. We're just returning. We gotta challenge this mindset to be more inclusive. You know, yesterday's shadow shouldn't dim today's light. My past doesn't define me, it refines me. Yet I've encountered these same dismissive vibes in this area when I'm trying to be a beacon of hope to our youth. These messages should actually be in the schools, but they won't let us in. Because we illustrate the harsh realities and long-term consequences of making the wrong decisions, hanging with the wrong people, doing the wrong thing. This is a cautionary tale for these children. But often we can't even get into the schools because of our record, which they often deem as too much of a risk. But what's the alternative? To not say anything? Isn't that risking far more lives? We gotta come to the realization, as Tamika said, those closest to the problem are closest to the solution. Now, what does that mean? Because I'm here, I'm the solution. No, what it means is I, Crucial, can actually be the best advocate for anti-gun violence because of my experience with it. I mean, if you really got a program and you really trying to make community change, my question is, why aren't you employing Shamar, Tamika, Harvester, or me? We're your community's human resources. We've successfully graduated from serving time to serving lives. Connecting with these kids. Yeah, I make mistakes just like you. Oh, I thought I was the only one. Principal keep talking about me. I made mistakes like you. I've done the things you've done. You're not alone. I'm an example that you can change. You're not forever throwaway. You're not forever a mistake no matter what they tell you. But people still hold this. And I mean, if you look at me and you're that short-sighted, you may say, oh, it's just another felon talking. But those who know me well and the work I do, know I'm a walking affirmation who just happened to be on probation. And in 9 days, even that'll be over. Yeah, after 30 long years of being under the thumb of authority and supervision since I was a teen, those strings will soon be cut in just a little over a week. I'm not just breaking free of their invisible leash. I'm breaking barriers. I'm coming into myself, walking fully into my truth, turning my mess into my message. So I can show these youth that you can overcome these hurdles. If you fall down and stumble, get back up. As long as you land on your back, you can see up, get up. And I'm also there to be an example, to show that these decisions you make or these peer pressure choices you make as a teen, don't think, oh, I'm just gonna get probation. That stuff will follow you until you're a middle-aged adult like me. And I can say that because that's my truth. That's my life. Now, do I have all the answers? Heck no. That's Google. But I do know, better than to think there's a one-size-fits-all type of fix going on around here. You can't just choose one solution over another. Well, no, I've got the right thing. Fund our program. Now, I'm not that arrogant like that. I know we need all hands on deck to make this a better Champaign, Urbana. So what does that mean? It means I'm open to collaboration. I don't want to be on some throne. I also don't want to do it alone.
Right.
Honestly, I just want to be Jerome. Y'all know who Jerome is, right? He was just here months ago at the Credit Center. But for all my culturally challenged people and my young people, Jerome Benton is a member of the 80s musical group, The Time, who often, in performances, will hold up a mirror, something like this, to give his bandmate, Morris Day, the opportunity to fix himself, to better himself, to actually get himself together so that he wouldn't remain in a state of disorder. And I hope that's what we did here for you today, people. Allow you to see the best in you so you can know that your problems look minor and small compared to what we had to go through. You upset and exhaustive of this 8-hour day that you had to put in, it looks minor compared to the 8 years Tamika had to put in. You sitting here complaining to your buddies, look, they hating on me. I posted this thing on Facebook and look at them in the comments. Imagine if you had the federal government hating on you for a Facebook page, like Shamar did. We came up here to tell our stories to empower you, so you realize, oh, these are fights I don't have to fight. I should actually feel good about who I am. We invited you also to see your own capacity of resilience. You know, you often come after these speeches, well, how did you get through what you went through? We're showing you that you can get through what you're going through. We're telling you that all you need to do is tap into your inner resilience in your own time of need. I mean, to quote another singer, if you want to make the world a better change, take a look at yourself and make a change. And that's what we did, people. That's what we did. And we invited you here today so that you could do the same. We support you. So take a look at yourself, family, and make that change. Everyone have a blessed evening. Thank you.
All right, let's stand on up and give a round of applause to all the good presenters and speakers tonight. All we can do is we need some more. Yeah. We'd like to thank you all for attending the event, all the speakers, and you all did a great, amazing job. The work that you put in on yourself, the pieces to the puzzles that you put together to make this thing come together, to you to step into your purpose, to step into the work that you do. We really, really appreciate it. It reminds me of a story, I ain't gonna take too long, but it reminds me of a story of a young kid was getting in trouble in school. His father came home and said, look here, man, give me all your electronics, everything. You're gonna do something a lot more constructive with your life. The kid said, constructive, what you talking about? The father goes to Toys R Us. He goes out there, he's looking for a puzzle. He said, I'm gonna find you a puzzle, and when you get done putting the puzzle together, then you get your electronics back. Because in his mind, he think he's gonna have the puzzle together. It's gonna probably take him about a month to put this puzzle together. So he goes, he sees his first puzzle. And on the first puzzle, it's on the cover of it, it's a lion, tiger, and just wanna make sure you're paying attention. So it was a lion, tiger, and a bear. He said, no, that's gonna be too easy. So he go down and see another puzzle. It's a prehistoric puzzle. Got the dinosaur, got that one dinosaur that's flying. What's the name of that one? Just want to make sure y'all paying attention. He said, no, that's gonna be too easy for my son. Then he sees this puzzle of the world. He said, oh yeah, that's it right there. He takes the puzzle home, he gives it to the son and says, look, when you put this puzzle together, you would get your electronics back. Son sits down at the table, he rips the plastic off the puzzle, takes the top off the puzzle, dumps the puzzle pieces out, and he's going through the puzzle pieces. What's on the other side of a puzzle piece when you feel it? Just want to make sure y'all paying attention. So he's feeling the cardboard on the side, and he sees the cardboard and sees something kind of look like a corner of an eye. So now the kid's curious, what's going on here? So he starts putting the puzzle together, flipping over, looking at it backwards. And as he's going through the puzzle, on the back side of the puzzle, he sees something like a finger. Next thing you know, the son starts putting the puzzle together backwards. Boom, boom, but after about 3 hours, he got the puzzle done. He runs in the father's room and says, hey, Pops, I'm done with the puzzle. Pops says, quit playing with me, man, and you ain't never done with that puzzle. He said, if I get up out of this bed, it's gonna be a problem. He says, no, for real, Pops, I'm done with the puzzle. Pops said, all right, I'm gonna see. But I'm telling you, if you ain't done with this puzzle, it's gonna be a problem. Pops get up out the bed, he goes into the dining room, there it is, the world together. Pops happy now, he said, oh man, my son is smart, I got it. Man, how'd you grab him up, hugged him, gave him a little knuckle sandwich, said, hey man, you got to tell me, how'd you put this puzzle together so fast? Because I'm gonna tell all my friends about it. The son said, Pops, on the back side of the puzzle, there was a man. And when I put the man together, the world came together.
Whoa.
That's what you've seen tonight. They put the puzzle, the pieces together, and their world came together, and now they serving. Remember, it's not about what you gather, it's about what you scatter. It's going to tell you the type of life that you had lived. Thank you all for coming out.
So how'd you find out about the event?
My wife works for EJP, so I tagged along. I was excited to come. It exceeded all my expectations. It was really, really well done. Some very, very powerful performances and speeches, and it was a fantastic event.
Anything in particular that stuck with you?
I did not know Shamar's story, and I live in Springfield, Illinois. It was really shocking and impactful. And we've got to make him right. We've got to make him whole. I think it's really, really unfortunate what he's been through, and everybody was awesome. It was a really, really great night.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
This is just a wonderful, powerful experience. Listening to the stories of so many people that, like those I have represented. And knowing that there is always a future afterwards if you dedicate yourself. And I want this to go far and wide so that everybody in this community understands that just because one mistake happened in your life, it does not dictate the rest of your life. And we all have value as human beings together in this community. This is an example of that, and I loved every second of it.
I didn't have any expectations. I had no idea what I was coming here for. I thought, I was really accompanying a friend. So I didn't have, I just had no expectations. So I was pleasantly surprised, come away motivated, inspired to get involved. I mean, it's been a mission of mine. I have similar stories, similar trials, and so it was really a heartfelt moment for me personally. And great group of men I witnessed today, and I don't know. I feel a sense of motivation. I feel inspired to get involved. Right, because especially a lot of the speakers spoke about different organizations that they have and different ways they try to affect the lives of others. Being someone who had a negative impact in the community at one point in my life, the only way to give back, being incarcerated is not really a pay back to society, so to speak. It's really what you do when you get out and how you affect the lives of other people. So, really motivated, excited to talk with a couple of the guys here that gave some speeches, so hopefully I can throw my name in the hat.
I really didn't know what to expect. I knew Shamar, I wanted to hear him, but I didn't know the other people, and it was really nice to come and feel like there was a community together, because we don't have a lot of really happy community moments, and it was nice to remember that.
Were there any particular moments in the speeches that stuck with you?
But they also stood around for long talks.
I think it was just how everybody talked about the moment when they heard that they were getting sentenced and the time and how they just felt like their heart stopped and then they had to think like, okay, how am I going to get through this? And some people it took longer, and that just was kind of something that kind of struck me. And also really sad that they do have these wonderful talks and they want to give them in the community. And I hope that they can do that. But thanks for organizing it.
I feel like I just watched a TED Talk. I feel like this is the beginning of something huge, and I'm gonna be able to be like, I went to the first one of those, and now it's huge. Like, I honestly, like the way that this was set up, the quality, you know, that whole like, That's What She Said show, this is like the same, if not higher quality of that. This is like a whole TED Talk. So anyways, thank you. This was incredibly motivating, and everybody needs to hear this. And we need to get some money raised for stupid fines, and we need to get people into the schools. So that's gonna be my commitment. I'm gonna help with that.